Fox show's gonna be on the red carpet doing her Xavia Fox red carpet thing.
Hey everybody! Yeehaw! Oh, you can't win, you're not in the game. Give me a beat.
Being looked at, African American women being looked at as freaks and hoes.
Okay, and so do you think that myth is accurate, or how do you think that myth got started?
I think that if you look at our media today, it is very accurate. You know, in the concept of it. I don't think that it's. I don't think that that is the truth for every African American woman. Not at all. I don't know how it got started. You know, I don't know how it got started.
It's so strange that you say that, because it's like I've seen the opposite, where you have men saying, you know, other cultures are the freaks, and we need to catch up.
Unfortunately, in a lot of the songs, they're calling us hoes.
But look, from the outside looking in, I think that that perception came when the videos came out.
Yes,
a lot of it. Yeah.
When Me So Horny came out, and then all the other songs got followed after that. Video Vixen thing.
Right, all of that. And it's become popularized.
Absolutely.
It's popular to be a hoe.
But it is. See where you just said, this ties in what you just said. You know, some are saying, well, black women aren't freaky enough. They're not the ones who are. But then you have the other ones over here that black women are freaky. Well, but if I was a black woman, I think I would be caught in between.
Yeah.
Should I do it or shouldn't I? Maybe I shouldn't be, so I'm not going to be freaky, because that's the perception of me. And oh my gosh, I don't want to be what society thinks.
Which kind of comes back to where my stand is. Yeah, my stance is.
But see,
so then you have one or the other.
Is outside.
What
is the perception is outside. If it's non-blacks looking and saying, oh, they're so freaky.
Right.
On the inside, black men are saying, no, they're not.
Because of the that I don't know. What's being
yeah, that's what I was saying. That it was, when I initially said it, I was saying the outside looking in.
And I know what you're saying, because on the inside, the black men say that white women are freaky.
Well, they were saying, but you know what they go to? They're saying they say that they are more submissive. That goes back to that.
Well, they say that too. I was going to do that too.
Right.
I was going.
Well, I mean submissive sexually. That's what I mean. More submissive in whatever they want to be done, they'll do.
Right.
And we have stipulations on. Okay, yeah, we'll do it, but you're gonna have to do this, and they don't necessarily have to get in.
Well, they say it's a lot of stuff that we just won't do. Like, you know, there's the whole, there's the whole, yeah, we don't do the, ain't nobody doing that.
Wait. You said holding showers.
Golden showers.
Oh, you like Kelly, okay.
Yeah, ain't nobody
said holding showers. I'm like, what do you mean? What color?
Is that accurate? And how do you think it got started?
No, it's not accurate.
So what's on the reservation?
Community. I mean,
you got actual houses?
Yes.
Oh, okay.
Why did they call it a reservation?
Because we were forced to live there.
Reservation.
So they took a plot of land and they basically herded all the Indians as if they were like cattle and said, you have to live here. And they put everybody on this plot of land.
So that's not necessarily a good thing. I thought a reservation was like, oh, this is awesome. We have our reservation.
No, we're forced to live on reservations. Well, no, they're not forced to live on reservations anymore, but the reservation is like Menominee Reservation. Okay, that is a county in Wisconsin. The state has no say-so over it because it's federal, because it's a federal piece of land that our government created to put the Indians on, because they couldn't live anywhere else but this piece of land. So, but a lot of people, because they were afraid to go on the reservation, maybe like people being afraid to drive into a bad neighborhood.
Right.
You know,
the hood.
People maybe don't see what does it look like on a reservation, but just thought, wow, is there really still things there? So I've gotten that a lot.
Wow. That's interesting.
And then there's a couple others, but I was
sitting
there thinking maybe
they. Is that true?
Yeah, I guess we should go ahead and get to that.
Because I like it. What
are the myths that you heard about the other races?
It's like Indians can't drink.
No, I heard they drink.
I mean, they drink, but it's
is that true that Indians drink a lot?
I heard that Irish drink
there are high alcoholism, and when they drink,
lush over there on the reservation.
And it was kind of like from what I've seen.
I guess that means they do drink a lot.
They had nothing else to do.
I'm just asking.
See, the thing is, here's the thing. Okay, so her family drinks a lot, obviously.
That was one of the things when you said, what are the myths? I thought, well, they do drink a lot.
Yeah.
Well,
And they smoke a peace pipe.
they don't smoke.
Why did you say it like that, though? They smoke a peace
A lot
pipe.
of them do drink a lot.
But they don't smoke a peace pipe.
No,
Okay.
no.
Why do I say it like that?
Yeah.
That's just what I always
That's
heard.
what
Smoke a
was
peace pipe.
Because your
Commentary one
parents
time. As we know, most of these myths do come from the media, movies
They
and
do.
television.
I wish there was okay, has anyone ever been with a Chinese man? Because I hear that the stereotype is that they're, yes, are very, very, very small.
They're very, very, very small. What would they look like carrying around a baby?
80s or the 90s, and the title of the book is literally, why do white people smell like little dogs? The entire book was about stereotypes, like all the stereotypes, and what do you think about them, and are they true, and are they based in fact or fiction? And I always wanted to read the book, but I just thought that was so, just to put it out like that. Because sometimes this is what people think. And it cracked me up because I remember taking the subway from the south side to the north side, and the smell of the train would change.
Wow.
So when I
You
saw
said they
it,
smell like wet dogs.
when it rains,
Oh, wow.
it was just a different smell. There's a different smell in Chinatown when the Chinese people got on, different smell in Greektown.
You happen to be the only representative here for
Of a different ethnicity.
Caucasian persuasion. So another myth is that white women are more submissive than black women. And as you go on your journey through life,
More so Chinese
do
women.
you find that there's some truth to that?
I think there's some truth to that, but I think it has to do with the family structure. I really feel like that's where it came from. I had an argument with one of my daughter's friends who said something, she was in my daughter's room and they were talking about something and I happened to be right there and she said, well, white girls will do anything for their boyfriend or white girls will do this, and I was a little offended by it. Yeah. My daughter's mixed and she probably more so identifies with being black, but and I identify more with the native side of me, but I do recognize that I am also white, and people think obviously that I'm white. So I was a little offended by the whole thing, and so I said, well, why do you say that? And she said, well, really, they say do this and then they do, and I said, well, where do you think that comes from? And she said, just because they're dumb. They're just dumb and they just do whatever. And so I said, no, did you ever think that maybe it comes from having that father in the home that says, this is what we do and this is when we do it and how we do it, and I say what's right and what's wrong, and that having that male figure that is the leader. Mm-hmm. I think that, in my opinion, is where some of it comes from. Maybe I'm wrong, maybe I'm right. That's what it is for me.
I just think we don't know all the millions of people in this world to make a judgment over a small set of people.
And that's why I was saying too that for me, I know that's where it comes from for me, because my grandfather was the one to say exactly what it is, and we talked when he was watching his TV, and same thing with me.
You know what? I can really relate to what you're saying, because I think just as one lady on my page said, I think that if you take a kid that grew up in a divorced household, whether they're black, white, or other, their experience of growing up in a divorced household is going to be different than a kid that grew up in a household with parents. Mm-hmm. So when you look at the statistics, there are more white kids, white girls growing up in households with fathers. There just are. And so there are going to be more white girls that are going to relate to men differently. If Will says blah, 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 I may just say, okay, not because I'm dumb, because I'm far from that. Whereas somebody else, if you've been single for 10 years,
maybe we need to talk about that.
Right, you may have a whole different comeback. You might be like, what did you say? No,
even if I'm not being domineering,
right?
Maybe I just I'm a question.
Yeah,
and that would be your natural thing, whereas mine might just be like, okay.
But he's qualified.
Yeah, right. That's that trust.
Right.
So
So yeah, I would agree with what you said as far as, because I think we've heard that. I think some of the biggest, you know, and the one Asian lady that was supposed to be here, one of the myths is that Asian women are the most docile creatures on the planet, you know. And I actually talked to a couple of Asian women before. The one said that she would be here or whatever. But one of the Asian women I talked to, and it was so funny because I didn't tell anybody what questions I would be asking. But she said, yeah, she said, I believe in being a strong woman. You know, she just her whole attitude was coming through, and I was just like, wow, that'll really dispel some myths, because that is totally not what you expect.
She's Asian American.
See, that's what I'm saying. American culture is a thing in itself. And we have developed a certain breed of women that's mixed together, and we all have a little bit of everything. And
because that's why I see so many white people who are in hood and hip hop.
That's right.
Well, it's all about what neighborhood you grew up in.
Right.
But some of them grew up in the suburbs.
Right, but it's the media. The media is so powerful.
But then do we get into age groups as well? Because, you know, if you have like an Asian woman that may be 40 years old, you know, her experience growing up, even in America, was still that her parents were probably really Asian, you know, or really, you know, Indian, or really whatever. They were really into that culture, and they passed that down. Whereas if you have somebody in their early 30s or late 20s, you know, their parents probably grew up over here, you know, and had that mixture. So you do have that Americanized flavor.
Yeah, exactly.
So I think you may kind of get into age.
But I think if you did just go over to China, you know, I think it would be a very different woman.
Anytime you live in a society that tells you how many babies you can have,
come on here.
That's a whole different story.
Yes. And even Indian women, I was like, oh God. I'm talking about India. Yeah, like India, like, oh my God, just the stuff that they have to. But you know, it's so weird because there's still like cultures within culture. Although we're in America, I had one of my very best friends when I was in college. They were American. They were born and raised in America, African American or black. They were born and raised in America, but her father raised them practicing a traditional African religion called Kong. And that father had 3 wives right there in Washington, D.C. And they grew up in the same house. And the moms had different bedrooms, and of course the father had the main bedroom, and all the kids were in the same house. And this is right here in DC, Chocolate City, Georgia Avenue. Like, wow. Yeah, and so, you know, and that's what I guess the thing is, like, even though, yeah, we're saying, you know, people are Americanized, you still have some people who choose other cultures and practice it. But I did ask her, I said, would you, when you get married, are you going to practice the same thing? She was like, hell no. So I was like, wow. Even though she respected her father and the mothers that were there, she did not. She is married now with 2 kids, and it is just them. You know, so you know, it's kind of weird that even though, you know, you kind of raise people with a certain way, people are gonna make their own choice.
But there have to be some family dynamic issues in that that probably made her go, I'm never going to do this. Because you know what I did, and it was the hardest thing for me ever, was I said, I'm never going to be a single mom. I'm never going to have kids before I'm married. I'm never, because of what happened with my stepdad and I.
Yeah.
I was like, I'm never going to do this. Well, it happened, but not because I wanted it to. But it, you know, I think you wonder, did she make sure she didn't do it that way because of what might have happened there?
There's always a reason behind choices.
The last question is actually one that was submitted, because I asked on my page, if you could ask the panel of women anything, what would the question be? And so I really only got one question, and it's going to appeal to the Caucasian side of the argument. I reworded it a little bit because the way that he phrased it was a little harsh. But
oh God,
yeah, he wants to know, how is interracial dating and or marriage perceived or received within your race? And specifically, is it okay to marry outside of your race? Because he said that you find a lot of white women will date black men, but won't marry them.
Chloe married that guy from Khloe Kardashian.
See, there's so few of them.
That's a little different.
I don't know that I can answer that question personally because I think my family makeup makes it a bit different. Being that my mom is Native American, my dad is white.
Right.
I already come from a mixed home that is accepting of other cultures. My stepdad's family is primarily German, but many of my cousins, because of my stepdad's sister, is married to a Mormon. So many of my cousins are Mormon.
Yeah, so you come
So
from
very much. So, and then my mom has a sister who is 2 different types of Indian, and she has a son who's Puerto Rican. And you know, there's already been interracial dating in my family prior to me. I wasn't the first one.
Yeah.
And for me, you know, living on the reservation, I dated Native guys, and I hated having green eyes. I hated having light skin because that wasn't what my family looked like.
Right.
So to me, you know, for me to date someone outside of being white, not dating someone white, it's just comfortable for me, and it was already accepted in my family. I remember being a teenager, and my aunt, another one of my mom's sisters went to college, and she came home with a friend of hers. He was from Trinidad and Tobago. It's the first time I ever saw a black man in my life. But I was so intrigued, but he had brown skin like the rest of the other people in my mom's family, and so it was just like, oh wow, he's kind of a little darker than us, you know. But it just, I don't know that I can really answer that question because
I can actually speak to it. I'm not. Well, I just put it out there. My uncle, my mother's youngest brother, is married to a white woman, Jeanette, my auntie, and I can call her that because she has been a part of our family. We don't even see. I mean, I see her as white because I know that, but when she comes around, it's Jeanette, and so I think the question was. Is it, can you go beyond dating? And, you know, is it okay to bring the white and the black together in families? And at least from my family side, I think initially in the beginning, it was kind of like, okay. But as, you know, things grew and we saw that it wasn't about his money or whatever the situation was, it truly was about love, especially when she was diagnosed with cancer, lost all her hair. But how did her family feel about it? And then he shaved up all of his hair. Now, that's what I can't really speak on, because I don't recall, because what he said, now I think about it, I don't even know if I've ever met any of her family. What he said is that it seems that white women, now, okay, I'm going to tell you exactly. I'm going to tell you exactly what he said. Yeah, I rephrased it, but this is supposed to be reality talk, right? So this is exactly what he said. He said that the overweight, unattractive white women will marry a black man. But the attractive white women won't marry a black man, though they will date and screw him.
Although I have friends and family who are not overweight white women that are married to black men, so I absolutely can't even identify with that statement at all.
It is a perception.
It's a perception.
You see that a lot in the hood. You do. I mean, I grew up seeing it. Like the few, you know, those spatters of interracial couples. It was usually unattractive, overweight white women.
Maybe this is a stereotype, and tell me if I'm wrong, but my thought of that is those overweight women that date black men have some of the weaker black men who need that woman to take care of them. And those women have self-esteem issues, and they're willing to take care of that man, because that's my perception and what I have seen.
And I'm just
in
saying that because growing up, I never saw a brother in my neighborhood with a fine-ass white chick.
I agree. They say that all the time.
And they always have beautiful children.
Married to a white woman is usually not the
Now, I didn't work downtown, or I'm not from LA or New York, where it probably happens all the time. But I'm just saying.
Right. It depends on the culture because,
I didn't.
Yeah, I know in the hood.
And
see, I think from the dressed up version all the way back down to where he started.
Someone pointed this out, and they said, well, a lot of times when you see a white man with a black woman, just not on television, but in everyday society, it's an earthy, natural black woman, which usually has an afro or dreads.
Or if they don't have natural,
Afrocentric.
if they don't, then a lot of times you think he's with a prostitute.
You know what's funny? I have a white guy friend, and he and I used to hang out all the time, and that used to be my biggest thing all the time. I was like, man, you know, hanging out with you, you know, people really think I'm
but right, though, the ones who really, you know, they're into black women, they're into African black women, like people who look
not
more
Americanized.
not the Americanized, right?
That used to just frustrate me because people look, and actually when we first became friends, I've known him for years, but when we first became friends, I had a problem because people look at you, you know, because it is more common to see a black man with a white woman than to see a white man with a black woman. It's just, you know, not as common. I am glad that you all enjoyed this. Thank you so much for taking this time out of your day to
Diversity.
share with Xavia Fox Talks. We had people that drove from Wisconsin to be here. And those Chicago people.
And they were in Chicago. Wow. No,
And I don't even drive.
And she doesn't even try. So, you know, but I definitely appreciate you guys coming and giving your opinion. And I think we dispelled some myths.
Yeah.
Because what I've learned is that it has nothing to really do with the color of one's skin, but it has a lot to do with the surroundings that you grew up in, that you were brought up in, the things that you've experienced in life that shape who you are. So when you see that sister or the white girl or the Asian girl, don't judge her because of the color of her skin. Now, if you down in the hood, you might think that they might have hood characteristics, okay? And you know, if you are out in the suburbs, they might have suburban tendencies. But it's not going to be based on the color of their skin. All black women don't have attitudes. There's some white women that have some attitudes too, you know.
And some Asian women.
And some Asian women, you know. We're not all the same just because we have the same color skin. We are all different, so stop generalizing. You know, even to the fact of one of the generalizations that I hate is men generalize women that look a certain way. You must be high maintenance. What does that mean? Oh, you want your hair done, your nails done, this and that and the other. I do my own hair and nobody does my hair. So, you know,
Don't prejudge.
Exactly. Because, you know, a lot of times, even in relationships, one of the things that I experience more so than anything in relationships is that men do prejudge you. So they look at you and they think you're high maintenance, or they think that, you know, you're too conservative, or they think that you're a hooker, or they think you got an attitude. You know, I got a You know, they think these things right off the bat, so they don't come to you trying to figure out or learn who you are. They come to you with already this idea, this perception of who you are, and they treat you that way. You know, so we're not giving each other a chance on Jump Street because we have these perceived notions of who this person is before they even open their mouth, just because of the color of their skin. And it has nothing to do with the color of their skin. You know, I don't eat chitlins.
Neither do I.
And neither do I.
And I don't eat hot sauce.
And I don't eat hot sauce.
You don't? Okay.
I don't even really like watermelon. Unless it's in a martini.
I like watermelon.
I like watermelon martini.
And I like fried
But malt liquor, y'all can have it.
I don't drink beer.
I can fry chicken.
You know,
Some
so
Chinese people be frying meat chicken.
all these stereotypes, you know.
Oh, she drinks
Yeah, but
malt
she's
liquor.
dating it.
Oh, we know you drink.
But that's what the show is about, to really dispel some of the myths. There's more similarities among people who have grown up or are in similar situations and circumstances than there are just because of the color of their skin. So hopefully you'll take that away from this show. And again, thank you all for coming. It's been this time. I enjoyed it. Now we're gonna go and find some. That's the Indian.
See, that does cross
Peace. Great show. I love the controversy.